Who is?
Based upon this, that during the seizure and new developments that we're going to talk about. Based upon how it was conducted, I feel confident that because the investigation specifically these facts and comprehensive search.
Like, yeah, okay. Rolo's talking to him right now. Yeah, so I guess he was pretty open to your house.
You need a jacket?
Oh, shaking on the phone?
No, like right now. Are you good?
Yeah, we have searched that area. We gotta get back out here. Yeah, I don't expect to have a really large presence that was here. But I don't know how.
Area now because they're out here, then it's on a street where you could just like pull over and just throw something.
It's
like
like a
all the way.
ditch?
It's like all the way.
it's like a tube or
like a tube, like a little hole, like it's way
We took
down
a picture
here.
of it. It's so far deep in my pictures. I ain't there.
That's why I'm like, we gotta turn this way. Yeah, I'm a search group. I'm out here.
Okay, so tell us, was there anything found in this search?
The search has been concluded. As far as if any items of evidentiary value were located, I can't get into specifics. I can definitively say that the boys were not located. I think our reaction would be a lot different if that occurred. The unfortunate reality of this investigation, we have 2 missing boys that are from the Bakersfield community. And unfortunately, law enforcement can't talk about the specific details of what we may or may not know. We have to protect the integrity of the investigation. We live in a time and in the world where if you don't talk about what you're doing, people assume you're not doing anything. We will spare no resource in locating these boys and finding out the truth of the matter. We will continue the investigation until the facts are known. The search was conducted, over 50 law enforcement officers from the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the Bakersfield Police Department, and we utilized the experience and the expertise of Kern County Search and Rescue. This is not the first search that has been conducted in the city of Bakersfield by the Bakersfield Police Department during our participation in this investigation. I expect that there will be more searches depending on the facts and the path of the investigation. There's been numerous interviews, numerous search warrants, and that will continue until we know what happened.
Could you tell us how many, you mentioned some more people were interviewed this week. Were they new interviews? Could you say how many were interviewed?
On a weekly basis, we contact multiple people involving this investigation. I'm not going to get into their identity or the statements they provided because we have to keep things close to our chest. You know as well as I do that if people are involved in this investigation, we don't want that information out there because it can severely impact the course of the investigation. And I'm not saying that's the case, but we go where the facts take us, okay? And we'll continue that path. We value the public's assistance in this. We need it. There's not officers everywhere. I strongly encourage anyone that has information on the boys, including past contacts, that is first-hand information. We want to hear it. We want to know about their lives. We want to know about everything that can help us bring the boys home.
Sergeant Pierre, can you talk about specific devices or tools or dogs, methods that were deployed here today?
There was a wide range. There were canines utilized, as well as trained recovery and search personnel from the Kern County Sheriff's Department. As far as specific tools and devices, I don't know. There could have been, but I don't know.
Sergeant Perrin, we know a lot of the investigations have been happening in Bakersfield and in California City at one point. Are there any other jurisdictions that you guys have conducted your investigation in since being a part of this case?
I don't know the totality, right? I'm the public information officer. I don't know the totality of everyone that they have contacted. I know they have contacted numerous people. So they may have contacted somebody outside of those two jurisdictions, and I don't want to give you the wrong answer. So the ultimate answer is I don't know. I know the primary focus of the investigation has been in California City and Bakersfield.
And like we were talking about searches here, will there be any more searches here, or as of right now, there's no more plans for this area?
I can't speculate. We go where the facts take us, and we go where the tips that are corroborated and are valid take us. So does that mean we're done at this location? If new information develops, you better believe we're going to go out and chase it down. So I can't definitively say that we're done at this location. There may be a scenario where we're not.
Can you comment on why you chose this location today?
Well, so I'm not going to get into the specific details. It's either going to be through a tip or the investigative process, whether that is evidence that has been located previously or an interview. And the unfortunate reality is that you're not going to narrow me down further than that, because I have to protect the integrity of the investigation. We know the public that's here demands answers. They want answers. I would like to be able to give them some of the information I have, but the reality is we can't. We have to keep this close to our chest, because the result is whether we find the truth of what happened, and we can't taint that. So that's the reality that we're dealing with. And we know that the community is emotionally invested in this. You can't help but to think about your own children in these types of situations. We get that. And nobody feels that stress as much as the people that are involved in the search, whether it's a public member or law enforcement. We all want the same result. We want to know what happened, why it happened, and the circumstances surrounding it.
As law enforcement were walking back to their cars, we saw people here saying thank you to every different officer that came out here. Talk about, like you were saying, just the support, and how the community's behind you guys and what you guys are doing.
There is no law enforcement agency in the country that can operate effectively without community support. This is our community. The officers live here, the community members live here. We all have a vested interest in keeping our community safe and knowing when situations like this happen that we can rely on each other. That's the reality of a community. That's what a community is.
Could you tell us on average so far how many people you've interviewed at the BPD since you've taken over the case?
I'm not going to be able to get into specifics, but there are numerous individuals, and we're cognizant of information. We monitor all of the various theories and the tips, and we love getting tips. First-hand tips are the best, and we chase those down. So as you can imagine, when you get tips, you're going to have to talk to people, and that happens on a daily basis.
And forgive me if this was asked before, but has BPD or any authorities that you guys are working with detained or arrested anybody in this case so far?
There has been no arrest.
Any detainment?
We're getting into semantics of legalese that I'm not going to divulge whether anyone has been detained or not. The facts of the case are still going forward. The boys have not been located, and there has been no arrests made. I apologize if I was yelling.
Just to clarify, I know we talked about this in private, but Trezell West was not taken in for, or you, as far as you know, he was not taken in for questioning yesterday?
I don't know. On a daily basis, there's case movement, there's interviews that occur, there's items of evidence that are searched. Not every day, but every day there's movement on the case. Who specifically is questioned, I am absolutely not going to get into the details of, and for the aforementioned reasons.
But as far as you know, the adoptive parents are continuing to be cooperative in the investigation?
Anything as far as the interviews and interrogations and statements provided by anybody, regardless if it's a community member or someone more closely involved in the case, I am not going to provide that information. And the reason for that is because, one, it discourages people from providing information to us if I go in front of cameras and talk about what they told me. Two is I cannot provide the facts of the case, and I know you want it, and I know you're doing your job, and the public wants answers, but the unfortunate reality, like I said before, and I know I sound like a broken record, is we have to keep that close to our chest. We have to.
So just tell us, why are you out here today?
I was on the police scanner and I heard the area of Cottonwood and Pacheco Road, something in regards to the missing 3 and 4-year-old Orrin and Orson West. I was at work at the time, however, as any other time, my wife and I hopped in the truck and came over to see what was going on. There was a lot of police presence, news media.
Are you excited that BPD took over this case?
Very. I'm stoked. Very excited, and I think everybody else out here in Bakersfield, California and California City also probably feel the same. That's the best thing that could have happened right now at this point in this case. I wish it would have been early on, but unfortunately, it didn't happen that way.
Yeah, let's talk about that. There was a pretty sizable search from various law enforcement today. Were you guys thinking, well, wait a minute, we've been searching this area for quite some time now, weeks ago?
Yeah, we've been here multiple times actually. I'm not sure if the search that we did was as wide as the law enforcement did, but we did attempt to come out here in a few areas around here. We didn't notice anything that could be suspicious or anything to contact law enforcement about. So with that being said, we've just been following up on other stuff.
Were you guys here around like early January?
Early January, yeah.
And Ro, I mean, you were talking to one of the detectives who's on this investigation. Can you tell us what he had to say?
Basically, he was like, you know, they're on the case, they're doing their part behind the scenes. You know, he appreciates us, you know, what we're doing out here, and but he just wants us to, you know, be careful, because we don't want to like hinder the case and the investigation. And all I gotta say to everybody is the BPD, the FBI, they're out here. They're on this case, so let's just sit back a little bit. He said keep, you know, doing whatever, but don't, you know, just be careful with what you're doing, because you don't want to, you know, hinder the investigation. And just so, you know, thank you to all the searchers that's been putting, you know, the time day in, day out. And now that they're on it, you know, let's put our trust in them. They really on the case. And let's just, you know, keep sharing the flyers and do what we, you know, the banners and, you know, prayers. And I really believe that they are getting close. I really believe it.
Do you have any suspicions for why they searched this area?
Honestly, I mean, for them to get out here, I mean, I feel like they got a tip from, you know, from somewhere, and because like I said, they've been out here searching, but they actually had dogs out here, and you know, they had a large amount of searchers out here, so, and we don't have that. I mean, they're skilled at what they do, and now it's time for us to kind of sit back and let them do their job, because they have the manpower, they have the resources, and you know, they're skilled at what they do. So
yeah, continue our searches, right?
Yes, and continue doing what we do, because we can't stop until we get answers. But let's just, you know, let them do their job.
Any other questions?
Would the same spell his last name? I know Roseanne's name.
Oh yeah, Laura.
My name is Laura Vasquez, L-A-U-R-A, last name Vasquez, V-A-S-Q-U-E-Z.
And are you a volunteer searcher?
I'm just a community member that decided to volunteer and help with the search.
Do you live in Bakersfield?
Yes, I do, born and raised.
Could you tell us about, sorry, last question, about the Facebook page? How has that helped with the search?
The Facebook page has helped enormously. In a couple of occasions, we've got a few leads to lead us to believe as community members that the boys are probably okay. Don't quote me on it, but you know, as Rose said, we're going to sit back and give the information of what we have to the officers and let them do their job, because there's no better way of closing this case than leaving it in the hands of the Bakersfield Police Department. So,
Thanks, guys.
Now, briefly, can you guys talk to the people that are outside of our community? Because this is going to reach people on different states, different countries. Because we go live on social media and it reaches a lot of places. Just to let them know what, if they see anything, say something, or whatever you guys want to say.
Don't be scared. I know it's probably a high-profile case, as most of you guys heard. A lot of people don't want to come forward, being that there's been a lot of threats from people all over the world. There's been more people that want to help, and like Rose said, passing out flyers and helping with banners and different stuff like that. I myself was a little scared to come into the case, but there's 2 missing boys out there who need anybody that can that's going to speak for them. So if that means people across the country in different states, cities, or towns, if you guys hear something, keep your eyes open. Don't be afraid to open your mouth and either get in contact with law enforcement or somebody you know that can pass the message along to law enforcement, or somebody who could get help.
You can stay anonymous. Like, you don't have to. That's the main thing. Stay anonymous. But if you have information about somebody reaching out to you, or just hit Laura up or whoever you guys are following, and they'll get in contact with somebody that's close to that could talk to the detectives on the case, and and just keep praying, man. Prayer is powerful, and you guys see the prayer has been answered right now. And I'm gonna keep saying that. Just keep them in prayers, the boys, and keep the searcher. Well, we're stepping back now a little bit, because we're still gonna follow up on little tips just in case they're not, the BPD is not getting that tip, and then we're gonna turn that tip into them. But we're not gonna stop, as in searching. We're gonna do our part, and we just ask everybody to do their part, whether it's sharing the flyer or just praying. Everybody that's not here, that's what you guys could do on your end. And we just thank you guys for all the support, the prayers, and everything.
Thank you.